Hey, welcome back to Barn Full of Trains. I'm Gary, and what we're going to be doing today is we're going to finish up. I did part one and two of taking this F7 right here, and we tore it down in the first video, cleaned all the wheels, got ready to go back together. The second video was um, putting DCC to it, and this one is going to be finishing up installing the LED lights in the front of it. Um, so if you haven't seen the other shows, um, this was actually a Cox electric train ready to run, but it was produced by Athearn, so it is a blue box Athearn train. Um, on my one of the other videos, there was a guy asked me a question, and he wanted to know where the weight was that went over the engine. And anyway, I told him, the blue box Athearn is the metal frame is pretty heavy, and so it didn't need a extra weight. And then I got to thinking about it, and I've seen one time before. I've never owned one, but if he watches this one, um, he said he had one. It was a F7, and so I did some checking on it, and I remembered seeing one. But back in '63 or '64, Athearn put out a train, and it was called a superweight train, and it has a cast metal weight that slips right over top of the engine, and what it was designed for is, say this engine would pull 20 cars, that one was designed to pull like another 8 or 10 cars. It just helped give it more traction. They wasn't very popular. It took a lot of voltage from your DC transformer, and so eventually they quit making them. But I'd only seen one, and and it was years ago, and I'd forgot all about it. So to answer his question, his train come out around '63 or '64 that he's got, and but all your later ones through the later '60s, '70s, '80s, they all had the only difference that they did was the one we're working on here didn't have the flywheels on it, and the later models had flywheels on them. And you can actually change this one. You just have to get when you order the newer style engine, make sure you get the drive shaft that clips in on it. And that's really the only difference. So they're real easy to change out if one of these older motors burn up on you. So, all right. So to save some time, I've already tinned a lot of the wiring and got one of the bulbs set up. Uh, these blue box, these when they were put out by Cox, they didn't have there wasn't a kit, and most of them that I've ever seen didn't have the light lenses, no glass in the windows or anything like that. So you can try to find light lenses, but what I did was I just took the 5 millimeter LED light, and I took and sanded it down where it's not as round on the front, and you can see it. I've just got it stuck in there temporarily. Going to pull that one out, and I got the other bulb. I'm going to sand it down, show you what I did to it. And the holes here weren't consistently the same size, and so they were almost 5 millimeter, and one light would kind of start in, the other one wouldn't start at all. And so I took a file. You can do it with a drill bit. but no more than what had to be done. I just took a file and done it. So I'll show you what we done. I am going to be tinning a couple of things here. I kind of talked back and forth to a guy. His name is Dwight Curley, and he's talked about that he's not very good at soldering. I told him he was he was trying out a live feed, doing his first live video, and I was talking to him, and I told him, there's a little trick to it, but so we'll kind of go through that. I went through it pretty good in the second part of this video, and well, we got a fake sales call coming through, so we're gonna let it ring. I don't know if you all can hear it or not, but anyway, so I'm just gonna run through that part real quick, and show how to tin everything and put it back together. So the last thing we done was we had it all wired up. I didn't put the chip in it, didn't check to see how it run. So we're going to readjust the camera, and we'll check it real quick. So anyway, so I've got the track set up. And before you start hooking all your lights up, it's a good thing to just check it. So I've already got it set to 03, which is, I haven't put a 4-digit number in. That's just the factory setting on it. And so we'll see. And you just want to make sure part of it's working all right before you go any further. If not, you need to fix it. So we got that. Turn the power back off of it. So the one thing that I like to do, a lot of people will go ahead and wire their lights right in and get them up in here. And then when you take this apart, you're sitting here with a wire that you can't do nothing with. Okay, I'm back. But most people solder the lights in, and then when they go to take it apart, they got this part just hanging here because there's wire with lights on it. So I like to get these micro mini plugs, and I've already got this one wired in on this side, and it just pulls apart like that, and then you solder this side to your other wires, and you can just unhook it without this being in the way all the time. Now, I am going to do something a little different. Normally, you would just hook your wire to one of them, direct from that to the light, and this one, you would put your resistor right there in, and then the light to the resistor on the other side of it. I am going to add 2 wires on here, and the reason why is because I'm tying 2 lights together, and we're going to use the same resistor for both of them, which you can do that. But I'm leaving it open because I wanted a 3-wire plug. They didn't have them down here, so I'm going to have to order them. And I just changed jobs and started back to work, so I don't want to put in an order and have to pay $10 shipping for a few little plugs. So I'm going to put in an order where I don't have to pay any kind of shipping, and I'm going to change it. And what I'm going to do is the rear light, which was the yellow wire right there, I'm going to come back later and tie it in. And what I'm going to do is you can program it for a Mars light. And so I'm actually going to use the top one as a Mars light and this one as a headlight. So that's why I'm adding the extra wire in. So let's get her started here. In order to solder, you can use a liquid flux if you want to. I don't. I use the paste flux. And this is one of the wires we're going to be adding in. So let me get my glasses. I just take and stick the end of it in and stick the end of that one in, and that's enough solder to get it going. And a lot of people on your soldering irons, they tell you to get one of the small ones that you can dial back 15 to 30 amp. And that's fine, or watts. This one is a 60-watt Weller. We used to be in the mobile home business down in Florida, and back in the mid 80s, we repossessed a mobile home. There's clothes all over the place, and I was cleaning it out, and I found this one. It's just a straight 60 watt. It's not variable. This is the same tip that was in it 30 something years ago. And if you keep it tinned, and that's what a lot of people don't do, is they don't tin the tip of this. But if you keep it tinned, it'll work all the time, and it'll work real easy. It'll melt the solder real quick. If you don't have one of these, I got this. We still have a local Radio Shack, and it's privately owned, so he carries a lot of stuff that regular Radio Shack don't carry. And that's like a brass sponge. Kind of looks like the ones that you'd scrub pots and pans with. And it's like $9 for the whole thing. I don't know what they call this. I forget. But get you one of them. The reason why I use the paste flux is the easiest way to clean them is stick that thing right on in there like that. And then take this thing and do it like that. And that gets it nice and silver. And you want it to where you can take this and just barely touch it, and it's heated. And on these wires, we're going to tin them. So you twist your wires together, make sure they're not standing out. And with the flux on there, that's it. It is tinned. I don't know if you can see how silver that is or not. That one right there, that flux just makes it run real quick, and it's nice and tinned. And then I just take any excess, unless I'm fixing to do another one, and do off like that, and set it over here. If you keep the end of that soldering gun tipped, you won't be sitting there holding it on there, making it heat. It'll heat up just instantly, and you can get it done. So the next thing we're going to do, I want to make sure we're lining up the right way so we got the right wires on it. And I take and hook it just behind that. And what this does is it acts as a heat shrink. It keeps it from running heat all the way up in here. it will run into this. And I got a toothpick right here for putting solder on them with. Don't take a whole lot. But you want to do the same thing. You want to tin this and get it ready to hook a wire to. And put just a little bit of solder on it. And that's how quick and easy it is. Those were copper, and you can see that they're silver now. So it's ready. And what that is, that's got the extra solder already on there for you. So when you take your tinned wire and hook it to it and you touch it and just pull the heat off, and it'll set right up and it's ready to go. All right, so the blue wire is going to be on the left. And see, I just held it up there against it, touched it, and you can see it's already set up, ready to roll. And there's a white wire. Just that quick, it's ready to go. So, now the only thing you want to do is I got heat shrink tubing already cut, and I happen to have blue and white, and that way I know which wires are which. And just slide it over it all the way up, and just take your heating thing and your heating iron, just run it along there, and right in between you can touch it with the tip of it, and it don't take much, and that thing is melted right on there. Do the same thing with the white wire. Now, I'm just barely touching that a little bit at a time, not letting it get extremely hot. And you can see it suck down around the wire there. So before you forget, the next thing you want to do is go ahead and put on a piece of heat shrink. And if you forget, don't feel bad. I've done it myself and forgot. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put the resistor in there. Now on the resistor, It doesn't matter which way it's turned. It works either way, as long as you've got one. I'm using a 560 uh, quarter watt is what I'm using. Some people use 750 to 1,000 because at 560 it puts a little more power to it, and you can burn it up if it's a train that you run all the time. But this one will just get run occasionally, so it's fine, and it'll probably last it forever. So you don't want it as long as that. That thing's pretty long. So get my cutters. And I cut it off pretty short. Same thing. I hook that on there so that the heat doesn't hurt the resistor. Put a little flux on it. Get a little solder on the end of it. It looked like I was tinning it, but I did. Okay. Blue is the positive common, and the resistor hooks to the blue. Get that excess solder off there. And then take that out and slide your piece of heat shrink up to it. And just heat it up. And that's good enough. It sucked right down on it. Then you're going to get this side. You're going to cut this one off too. And at that point, you're ready to put the lights on. Now, if you've not dealt much with the LED lights, it has the two prongs on it, and you'll notice the one on this side is longer. That's your positive, which means it goes to the blue wire. Has to have the resistor on that side. These lights only work one way unless they've got a rectifier attached to them. And then the white wire hooks to the shorter one. So my suggestion would be, when you go to cut these off, I just cut one at a time so you know which one's which. And it doesn't hurt to spread them apart or whatever. But we're going to cut the blue one, the positive, first. And you can see it don't have to be very long, just enough to get solder to it. And these are critical on making sure that they have a heat shrink on them, because LED lights does not like heat at all. That's just flux getting it ready, because we're going to tin it. And that's all it takes to tin it. Now, before I go any further, this light, I've already took a file. I just took a emery board and filed it down. You can file this down, I mean, really, really short, as long as you can see the light inside of one of these things. And as long as you're not on the light in there, which you can see it's way down here, you can file off a 1/4 inch of that and it won't hurt it. Now, these wasn't consistent. You could do one or two things. I've got a reader, caliper reader. I got the digital kind because it's easier for me to read. And you can wrap that around that. And it is 4.99 millimeter, which is 5 millimeters, same thing. And you can take and drill them out if you want to, but no more than what it was to drill out. I just took the file and put it in there and just turned it. And then I went to the back side and I just turned it there. Now, the top light was going to be right up against that right in there. And it had a little bitty groove. And I took and made the groove bigger. And you can see it's kind of rough looking in there. And I made that bigger. And I'm using this one for the top light. If you look closely, you can see that light's got a lip right there on it. So I filed it a little on both sides, all the way around it. And then I went down here and I filed that lip off on the bottom side. And then that way the light don't go in at an angle. It can sit down there and go straight in flush. This light, there's no problem because it's the second light. And but we're gonna file it down some so it don't stick so far through like that right there. Now, I use the yellow lights because I'm I like modeling older trains, especially steam trains, but it would be real early diesels, and the white lights are just for me. It's my choice. I don't like them as much, but we're not only filing this down, we're also where it was really rounded. We're making it more flat, and it makes it look more like a lens sticking through. And it don't take but just a minute to do this. Oh, and by the way, I must have made the big time. I got my first thumbs down on a video. The only problem is he or she wasn't man enough or woman enough to leave a comment or why they didn't like the video. So they're hiding behind a computer as usual. I mean, if I was going to leave a thumbs down, I'd just leave the channels. But if I was going to leave a thumbs down, I would at least put in the explanation why I was doing it. You know, what it was about the video I didn't like, but no big deal. But you can see it's not rounded anymore. It's more flat. Now, I use that, and then I use a 1000 grit. Um, it's actually made, it's wet or dry, and you can wet it, and that takes some of the dullness out of it. I mean, you're not going to get all the dullness out of it, but anyway, that one there is ready to go, and like I said, we're going to tie these lights together and run them off the same ones. I've already got the other wires tinned. Get that one on. Then we'll cut this one off. Oop, flux on it. If you don't get flux on this, it'll just bead up on you. It don't take much flux, but it will beat up. I turned that wire around because one side was cut a little longer than the other. And I put the short end to it since I cut that off short. And then slide your heat shrink up there. Okay, so that light's ready to roll. The only thing we lack, go ahead and put some, is to tin that other end of that resistor up. And we're just going to tie these two wires together. Same thing with the white wire. And I thought that I'd cut enough of the heat shrinks. It looks like I need another blue one. Go ahead and slide it on that way. Don't forget. Keep wanting to come apart, so I'm going to go ahead and solder the white ones together. Yeah, let me see if I can get this heat shrink on it. That's what I was afraid of. I kind of hit it with the heating iron and it sucked up on me. That's all right. I've got some liquid tape. Not a big problem. We'll go ahead and shrink it down on what it did get covered up. Like I said, I'm going to be cutting this loose and later on. Yeah, there goes. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. That was my dad calling, and I had to take the phone call. The Ford place up here, he's got a Lincoln Navigator, and it he wanted to update the. He come out with a thing saying there was a new update or something for his navigation system. And it's like $159 for the program, but then they was going to charge him. He thought, well, that ain't too bad. And then they told him, well, it's going to be $350 to install it. And you can go online and just put it on a USB thing, take it down here and install it in 30 minutes yourself. But he don't know how to do it, so I told him I would do it. Okay, so I got the wires twisted together. I cut that little piece of heat shrink. Well, I say I got them twisted together. Come undone. I don't know why it's not wanting to stay together. Got a little more room. I could slide that one down further, so hopefully it won't melt. Okay. See if we can get this one slid up. And that's all the soldering. Now that's the one I got cut off on flat, so it's going to go in the first hole. And as you can see, there's both lights. I'm not going to take the time to put the liquid tape on that one little piece here. I'll do it after this. But just turn them two where the two blow wires are turned the same way and push it together. What we'll do is get your wires set up right there. And I use Kapton tape. It's like electrical tape, but it's thinner. And I will tell you, it is like electrical tape. So if you grab hold of it with your fingers, it will get oil on it. So you don't want to handle it no more than you have to. But I generally do it something like that and just take a pair of scissors and cut it off. Make sure all your wires are up in there. And then there's just 3 clips on the side. There's one big one. and it just clicks in place like that. Well, I may have got the one too hot. I got one headlight coming on. I had to pull it apart and check it. I may have got it too hot and done it, or wires come loose on it, one of the two. But that's the gist of it, and I'll fix it because I'm going to make this one a Mars light anyways. And so it's fine that I may have blowed it. I've got more, and but I'll check it. But that's all there is to it. And you can see that I don't have to have no lenses. I'm not prototypical, so I'm good to go with it. And so, anyways, that's going to be the end of that. So that's how I do it. And I know my videos are long, but people. I'm a person that if it's what I'm interested in, I'll watch it in detail to learn, and I don't want to miss over parts. And there's so many out there that the parts are missing out of it, and that's why I've decided to do my how-tos. Yeah, they're a little bit long, but that's okay. And um, if it's not what you're interested in, I understand, because there's a lot of videos out there. Not just the group of guys that I'm hooked up with here. There's a lot of other videos that I've searched and searched and searched, and believe me, I don't subscribe um, to just everybody. I subscribe and watch the videos that I enjoy watching. And so if you have any questions, it's better to send them in a email, which is barnfulloftrains@gmail.com. You can go to my About page. Even though I don't have nothing filled out on the About page, my email is there. And that's the best place to ask questions because I know I'll get them. I have missed a couple of comments here and there and caught them several days later. So, and then, like I said, I started a new job. I'm going to be gone quite a bit more. And so if I don't answer you back right away, or somebody makes a comment and I don't answer them back in the comment section, it's not because I'm avoiding it. I'm on the road. So thank you for watching. And I'm going to be trying to put out some more stuff on steam engines. There's not a lot of detailed videos on steamers, and that's what I enjoy most of all. So, but if there's anything I can do that you want to see and I've got the stuff to do it, just let me know, and we'll try to get a video on it. So, thank you.